are relations between the UK and China? Are they as frosty as ours, or are you guys on better footing?
I believe that we're handing over part of our internet to them. So, yes, they're very good. They're wonderful people and definitely not dictators.
And the other nice thing about them, they never spy on anyone. So I'm
absolutely.
Sure, yeah.
And if they did, they'd have a really good reason.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special relationship, the show that is more continental than a hotel breakfast. I'm your host, Andrea Bridges-Smith, hailing from the westward side of the Atlantic, and with me from the motherland back east is my co-host, Matt Johnston from the Interesting Times. Matt, what's new over there?
Well, Andrea, this is just in today, hot off the press, in fact. You know, we keep saying Boris Johnson's finished, and then we feel the need to say he's finished again. He's sort of like the Michael Myers of politics, except Michael Myers obviously brushes his hair once in a while. Well, Boris Johnson, as you know, walked out of his job as an MP rather than face the consequences of his actions for lying to Parliament a couple of weeks ago. And there has been speculation that he wanted to run for his old Henley seat at the next general election. But he hasn't been shortlisted. Could this be the beginning of the end? I mean, it's a long way to go, but for an individual famous for falling upwards, could gravity finally be taking over? Dare we dream?
Hopefully so, but just as long as you don't send him over here to us, okay?
I can't promise anything, I'm afraid.
I mean, we've got our own poorly coiffed politicians to deal with right now.
True.
Speaking of which, this week we've gotten a hold of the audio of Trump admitting to the crime he's accused of, and it is quite a damning piece of evidence. Have you listened to it yet?
I haven't, but isn't his defense effectively denying everything, even as he's saying it?
Yes, pretty much. So his defense at the moment is that he was showing people newspaper clippings, but then he says, you know, this is classified, which I don't know if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Newspaper clippings aren't classified.
No, they're the opposite of classified.
Yes.
I think that's what they are. Now, Matt, I know that you and I are recording our voices right now. So, are there any crimes that you'd like to go ahead and admit to? Because it'll make the prosecutor's life a lot easier later if you will just go ahead and confess on tape. It's a real prosecutorial life hack.
Yes, okay. All of my material I use on the Interesting Times isn't really mine. It's actually based on the things that the Conservative Party says and does. Now, is that stealing?
No, I think actually in the hip-hop world that would be called sampling, so you're good.
Which is more than can be said for the Conservative Party. But
yes, exactly. So Matt, we have come to your favorite part of the show, royal news. I know how much you love it. And it looks like old Prince William's gonna solve homelessness by hurling money at the problem, which is honestly a pretty sound approach. What do the Brits think of this initiative? Are they happy about it because he's doing some good? Or are they looking at the pile of rubies and emeralds that sort of trails behind him when he walks and thinking, you should have done this years ago. It's too little, too late.
Yeah, well, I think I may have mentioned that the royal family are the world's biggest owners of real estate, right? I mean, for instance, Buckingham Palace has 775 rooms. And that received a partly taxpayer-funded restoration grant of £369 million. So for those keeping score, that's 123 times the size of the £3 million that William's charity is donating to homeless. I mean, look, the least that they could do is just, I don't know, Airbnb Kensington Palace or something like that. Maybe I'm being a little bit cynical here. I'm sure he has the best intentions to help people. So, speaking of royalty, or in this case, ex-royalty, I understand there's some news from across the pond, Andrea. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. So apparently Netflix is madder at Harry and Meghan than Charles is, and that's really saying something. So the couple were hired to produce a lot of content for both Spotify and now Netflix. But so far, they've only produced a little bit of content, and people are not loving it. So it hasn't been the ratings bonanza that Netflix was hoping for. But, I have to sympathize with them. It's kind of hard to feel that sense of urgency to go out and make some cheddar when you've already got 16 bathrooms, what's left to go make money for when you already have I'm BFFs with Tyler Perry money?
Well, they made their bed, and so they have to lie in it. That is, according to a lot of the British newspapers anyway. I don't know.
Right.
So after that, and indeed Spotify, where I understand they also people weren't particularly impressed with what they produced. I have to ask, what are they going to do next? I mean, keeping up with the Sussexes? Yeah, well, we have a show over here called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Do you have that in the States, Andrea? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it. We don't have that exact show, which is a shame because I love the title, but we do have some similar ones.
Well, in the past, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here has been used by celebrities to relight their careers and make quite a bit of money to boot, pay off a few tax bills, that sort of things. Yeah. Now, I get the feeling for Harry and Meghan, it's surely only a matter of time before they're, nibbling on kangaroo penis. That's, by the way, that's one of the Bush Tucker trials that the celebs have to do in order to get some food and treats and things like that. Honestly, you have to watch this.
Well, I'm just a commoner, but if you try to serve me kangaroo penis, I will definitely get out of there. Given that this is British cooking, I'm guessing that kangaroo penis is maybe boiled? Yeah?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It's one of our national dishes, for goodness sake. Yes.
Terrific. That sounds delightful.
Shall we get back to the politics?
Sure.
I see that your president has called President Xi a dictator. It's an accusation that China has strenuously denied, calling them absurd and irresponsible, and they will definitely lock up anyone that repeats them.
Yes, and I have to ask everyone to please spare a thought for poor Antony Blinken, our Secretary of State, who flew over to China to mend fences and, have productive conversations with the Chinese government, and then immediately had all of his hard work undone by Biden in just an instant. Like, the turbine on his airplane hadn't even stopped spinning all the way before Biden just wrecked it all by calling the Chinese president a dictator. This kind of reminds me of the good old days when Trump was president, and he would constantly be insulting some major superpower like he just wanted to go to war, I think maybe one of his biggest regrets is not launching a nuke just to see what it would look like, Matt, I am curious, and I should know this, but I don't. How are relations between the UK and China? Are they as frosty as ours, or are you guys on better footing?
Yeah, I'd say we might be on a little bit of footing. The Chinese have actually given us quite a few internet towers or something like that. Okay. I'm not big on the tech speak, but I believe that we're handing over part of our internet to them. So yes, they're very good. They're wonderful people, and definitely not dictators.
And the other nice thing about them, they never spy on anyone. So I'm
absolutely.
Sure, yeah.
And if they did, they'd have a really good reason.
Yeah, but you don't have to worry about that, about them having access to your internet and all that. So it's probably fine, right?
Yes, absolutely. Just plain safe. So, Andrea, sure. I see that Tucker Carlson, or as I like to call him, Mother Tucker Carlson, is being replaced with Jesse Waters. For those in the UK that don't know who Tucker is, just imagine a racist internet troll in a bow tie who asks all these ridiculous questions in order to bring parity where there really isn't any. Now, he's been replaced by some guy called Jesse Waters. Andrea, please, fill us in.
Well, I would love to, but like most Americans, I was like, who? I truly don't know this guy that well, but I bet I will just as soon as he starts saying things that are wildly inappropriate. And Oh, you know what? I'm being told that we are actually covered there. So I look forward to being continually outraged by him for the foreseeable future.
Good stuff.
All right, so Matt, we are going to be off next week, and this is a little bit of a delicate topic. But I think, you and I are friends, and we can discuss the hard things. We'll be off next week because I will be busy celebrating America's birthday. The old gal is 247 years old, but she doesn't look a day over 184, and that's mostly due to our extremely slow progress on civil rights.
You've had a bit of work done. Don't worry, I wasn't going to bring it up, but
Well, and we have far more work to still do. But Matt, I want to be sensitive to you guys here because while this is an exciting time for us, we are essentially celebrating our conscious uncoupling from, you. So how do you recommend we celebrate our birthday in a way that is sensitive to you, who is essentially our ex?
Well, first of all, 247 years. Congratulations. I mean, has it really been that long? And how you've grown. You've grown into the world's most beautiful, largest superpower with enough weaponry to eradicate all life on Earth hundreds of times over. Honestly, it brings a tear to my eye.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Actually, I think it's good that we've been able to remain friends. After all, let's be honest, it was a pretty acrimonious breakup. Let's not go over that again. Anyway, How about, you want to celebrate, how about cake and tea? Or make it even more British, a G&T. Cheers.
Well, yes, that's one thing that our nations will always be able to agree on is drinking. We'll always have booze.
Yes, absolutely. And on that note, thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching and listening. And thank you to Andrea. Enjoy your independence next week. And
Will do.
Andrea's channel for US political comical calamity, easy for me to say, is at Fenix News Network. And mine is at Interesting Times UK. Subscribe to both and get both. And we'll see you all on the 12th of July. Take care.
So long, everyone.